Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you. Welcome to the 75th episode of Tech It Out. We have a great show planned for you this hour. We'll chat with Intel, Lenovo, and Microsoft, three heavyweights in the tech space, and we'll also learn about a new app called Portable North Pole, which I think you'll love, and the kids too. All right, let's kick things off. At a recent Intel event, I had a chance to test drive several laptop and desktop PCs that are available now or soon to be released, all powered by the latest Intel processors. Some were built for mobility, others for serious computer gaming performance, some for both, actually. So I wanted to devote a segment on this program to what's hot for the holidays, and with 2019 on the horizon, where are we going in the new year with Intel's 9th gen processors? Joining us on the line to chat is Lisa McManus, an account executive at Intel. Welcome to the show, Lisa, and happy holidays.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Of course, and it was good to see you at that event as well. Now, when people go to a big box store or they shop online, there's still a couple of days left to Christmas. It's a little bit overwhelming for people to choose the right computer for themselves or a loved one because of the sheer number of options out there. So with that in mind, why don't we kick off our discussion with how you suggest people start when it comes to buying a new computer? Where do you begin?
Yeah, sounds good. I think, there's probably two key questions, right? Is where will the device be located? Is it a fixed place or is it a mobile device? Because that sort of gives you an idea of whether you should be looking in the notebook section or potentially the desktop and all-in-one section. There's great benefits to both. And then the second question before you dive deeper is what are you using it for? So, you have lots of different types of uses. Is it gaming where, gaming potentially would be great if it's in a fixed space. You can really buy a great processor, an i7 or an i9 with great graphics. Or is it a multi-use device that would be used for more streaming, Facebook, Instagram? So you could potentially use a more mobile device that's a 2-in-1 or a convertible device that can be turned into a tablet if you want it, or tinted like a little movie screen. Then there's also more complex uses such as content creation. So I think number one is it fixed? If it's fixed, desktops are a great option. You can consider an all-in-one. You've got bigger screens, 21 to 27 inches. You can add speakers to it. But if it's a mobile device you want, maybe look at thin and light devices. We've got a lighter weight, smaller form factors that are easy to travel. Another element is kids. Do you have kids in the family? You might want to consider a touch screen because they tend to use a lot of touch activities with their computing. Does that make sense, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one is to figure out where you're going to use it. If it's a stationary computer, then a tower is good, which makes it more modular. You can swap out components if you're so inclined to upgrade your graphics and hard drive and all that. An all-in-one, as you called it, is when the computer is built in behind the screen, so it's more of a cleaner look to it, but not as easy to upgrade. So that's fine for those who don't want to upgrade. They just want a good family PC, for example. And then if mobility is important, you mentioned either a notebook, which is synonymous with a laptop, of course, and then the 2-in-1 or convertibles is when it's both a tablet and a laptop in one device. Sometimes the screen bends back on a 360-degree hinge. Other times it detaches altogether. But you got that versatility of it being a device that can serve as double duty, both as a computer, a traditional computer with a keyboard and a trackpad for a mouse, as well as using your fingertips on it like a touchscreen tablet.
Yes, absolutely. And then, the other element is really the processor that you need. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough power in your processor to accommodate your needs. So if you're looking for gaming or potentially, you're a creator, you're 4K video rendering or, hardcore AAA gaming, you want to make sure you have the right power processor. So you would look for an i7 or our new i9 line, whereas if you are using it for an everyday type of device that's multi-use, multi-family, always start with a little bit more power than you need. So I recommend like an i5 with 8 gig of DRAM and, a 1 terabyte hard drive, and then go up from there. It's always a great thing to future-proof yourself.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you, Lisa, because I say the same thing. I always say buy a computer like you're buying clothes for kids. Go a little bit bigger than you think you need at the time so you can grow into it. Therefore, you're not replacing it so often. So I don't recommend Core i3, even though that is an entry-level computer. And it's fine for web browsing and picking up email and social media. But I always say start with Core i5, which gives you a little bit more oomph under the hood. Should you want to play some games and listen to music and multitask and do different things at the same time. And then, yes, Core i7, Core i9 gives you a lot more horsepower for things like gaming, video editing, animation, content creation, as you called it. So we're perfectly aligned on that, is to squeeze a little bit more power than you think you need because you will need it tomorrow kind of thing.
Exactly, especially with all the continual development of the games and even just regular, model uses and streaming, and you always want to have a little bit more power.
Yeah, so let's talk about Core i9 a little bit. We are chatting, by the way, with Lisa McManus. She is an account executive at Intel. Gaming is super popular today, whether it's multiplayer games like Fortnite, Battle Royale, which is, in my opinion, best played on a Windows PC. What's hot for gamers right now, and what is Core i9 exactly? And could that lead to virtual reality support as well?
For sure. So, we've recently launched our 8th Gen Core i9 for mobile devices or laptops, as you mentioned, which have amazing performance for gaming. 40% jump over a 3-year-old system. So imagine if you're using an older device now with the new 8th Gen Core i9, a 40% performance improvement, which really is awesome because it's designed to optimize VR, right? So you mentioned a little bit of virtual reality. As more and more games go that way, and as more, just common activities use VR, this is definitely designed to optimize that. There's lots of new technology that are coming along with our Core i9 devices. So hyper-threading technology, which allows the processor to work on 2 tasks, so speeds up what you're doing on, so basically doing more in less time.
Right. Also
support sharing, which is really important in gaming. As you know, everybody now is not just playing, but they're creating, they're streaming, they're editing, and so this really supports the development of that activity. Mm-hmm. And then more importantly, on the mobile side, the laptop side, people like to take it with them now. Gaming is a real social event. So, the new 8th generation have gigabyte Wi-Fi, which is ultra-fast connectivity, so no compromised gaming experiences, whether you're at home or, you're at your friend's house and you're all playing a game. So it's really exciting. The other element for mobile on the 8th Gen is battery life. We've improved that significantly. So, on regular laptops up to 16 hours, on gaming 8, 9, 10 hours when you're doing hardcore gaming. So pretty amazing.
That is a huge leap over just a laptop from a couple of years ago. So to me, even though battery life doesn't sound like it's the sexiest of features, it's the most it's the most critical, for sure. Because there's nothing worse than you're not done your work yet, or you're in the middle of a game and you notice that your battery is waning on your notebook PC. It's very frustrating. So to me, I'm a huge proponent of a good battery under the hood. Now, I want to pivot and we've talked about Core i9, but sticking with that number 9, I do want to now pivot and talk about the near future. Where are we going in 2019 with Intel's 9th Gen processors? You mentioned earlier 8th Gen. So what will be driving the performance of computers in the future, and what is 9th Gen processors all about?
So yeah, I'd love to talk about 9th Gen. And, for Intel, this is another exciting foray into the future for us. We've just introduced our 9th Gen K series, which is an unlocked processor for focusing a lot on gaming and content creation. Super exciting from this space. So our partners have, across their lineups, this K series desktop CPU. So we're calling it the best gaming processor in the world. Up to 8 cores, 16 threads, 5 gigahertz, so blazing fast, and optimized for the latest discrete graphics cards. The benefits enables, greater than 220 frames per second on the most popular AAA game titles, such as Fortnite, Rainbow Six, CSGO, PUBG. And then there's also overclocking support with Intel Extreme Utility Tuning, which basically sort of manages your overclocking for you. So for those folks that are hardcore gamers and love to overclock, there's now a tool that can help you do it most efficiently. And, the ninth gen is not just about gaming, but it's about power. So we also see a huge explosion in content creators out there, folks that are doing 4K video rendering and editing or creating and stitching. And we've had a 34% improvement in the ninth gen over our prior generation. So huge improvement for those creators in the world.
That gets a geek like me very excited. I got to tell you, my pocket protector is beating very hard. So that's great. No, obviously there was a bit of jargon in there, like hyper-threading and overclocking and all that. But we're talking, as you said, it's all about power. And if you're into PCs and you're into gaming and content creation, you know exactly what you're talking about, Lisa. And it sounds really exciting with where it's going. Awesome, Lisa. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you. I hope you get some downtime before the big show in Vegas, and wishing you all the best for a happy and healthy 2019.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Same to you.
Yes, that big show, of course, is the Consumer Electronics Show, or CES. I'll be there from January 7th through the 11th, and I will report to you on what's hot. And speaking of what's hot, I do want to thank my sponsor. Tech It Out is powered by ASUS, for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops, desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much, much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out on the Radio America Network.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. Despite popular belief, virtual reality isn't just for gamers. Oh sure, putting on a VR headset offers that amazing immersion, making you feel like you're somewhere else, but there are a ton of other applications for it, and that includes education. And so I'm thrilled to have on the line Sandra Clark. She is the Global Education Manager for Lenovo to talk about what Lenovo is doing in this space with what's called Lenovo VR Classroom. It's a new initiative. Welcome to the show, Sandra.
Hey, Mark. Thanks so much for having me today.
My pleasure. It was great to see you, by the way, at that Lenovo event in the fall at the Ontario Science Centre in Toronto. So let's talk about VR, or virtual reality. As I mentioned off the top, Sandra, it's often associated with video games, but how could the education space benefit from VR?
Absolutely. Well, we've talked to teachers all across North America, and they've told us that VR excites them for a couple of reasons. The main reason is just to spark a love of learning in their students, right? If we can get students excited about learning and let them see how the concepts that they're learning in classroom apply in real life, then they'll be more interested to keep learning and maybe even someday pursue a STEM career. Some of the other reasons are really just to expose them to emerging technologies like VR that are going to be critical skills for jobs that they might find in the future. And they also just want to get students expanding their worldview, right? VR can take students places they could never go in real life, like under the sea or into outer space. And that really immerses them in the technology and helps them retain information more than they might just from learning in a textbook.
No doubt. It's one thing to read a book and see some photos, and I know that VR isn't meant to replace that, but more to augment that sort of classic way of teaching to kids. But by donning a HMD, a head-mounted display, and being magically transported to another place or time with 360-degree video and head tracking and even spatialized audio, so it's even tricks the brain into believing that you're really there. That's really magical and no doubt an engaging way to educate kids on a variety of subjects, I'm sure.
Most definitely. And virtual reality experiences can really cross the boundary of lots of different subjects, like you said. I mean, if you think about an expedition to the Eiffel Tower, you could use this as a lesson in a French class, for example, or you could use it in an art class, world history, even architecture and math. So they really span many different subjects.
And at the heart of the Lenovo VR Classroom initiative is your headset called the Lenovo Mirage Solo. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the Mirage Solo is the first wireless all-in-one VR headset with Google's Daydream operating system, which was made specifically for VR. What's great about that is that the experience is very comfortable to use. The image quality is amazing. And because it's wireless, you don't have to worry about connecting to a PC or being sort of pulled out of the experience. Everything is inside the VR headset, so it's a nice, clean, easy-to-deploy solution in a classroom.
All right, so unlike most VR headsets that require you to attach it to a computer, a game console, or to a smartphone, this stands alone by itself. So it uses Wi-Fi, and it's got local storage, which is expandable too. But you can download those VR or virtual reality applications or games, or in this case, educational content to the headset directly. So you're not tethered to anything. That's what we're talking about here.
Exactly, and that's what really helps with the immersive experience, because you're not sort of having your head pulled backwards like you might in some other type of situations, and it disrupts the experience. But you just pop this on your head and you're ready to go. That's
a good point. It does ruin the suspension of disbelief, if you will, when you walk too far and your head is jolted back as you're tethered to a PC or something. That's a great point. We're chatting with Sandra Clark. She's the Global Education Manager for Lenovo. We're talking about this new VR Classroom initiative from the company. You're working with school boards across North America to introduce these headsets, and it's a platform, really. It's more than just hardware. It's also software for educators. And is there a reason why they should consider Lenovo? There are some other players as well, like Google Cardboard, for example. Why would a school board consider working with Lenovo on your VR Classroom program?
Sure. Well, Lenovo's been leading in the education space for over 25 years. I mean, we have our IBM legacy with ThinkPad University back in the 90s, all the way to our Lenovo Scholars and National Academy Foundation partnerships in the last decade. And Lenovo really recognizes that we have to invest in our kids because they're our future. And so we talked with students and teachers across North America about what they would need to make virtual reality meaningful in the classroom. And we really decided we needed to put together a complete plug-and-play kit that would be designed specifically to work in the classroom. And the cornerstone is that Mirage Solo wireless all-in-one VR headset, which gives students great image quality and it really captures their attention and imagination. But the content is also really key, right? So we partnered with Google Expeditions to offer over 1,000 different virtual field trips. And we also have an exclusive partnership with The Wild Immersion, endorsed by Jane Goodall, to bring VR wildlife videos to our students, which is really exciting. But we also have to complement that with teacher training. And we have put together a complete solution to offer teacher training, customized one-to-one learning for our teachers, and lesson plans provided by Scholastic to really help teachers connect VR content back to the curriculum.
Right. So even if the technology is cool, if the educators, like the teachers, are apprehensive about embracing it because they may not be that tech savvy, then that is obviously going to be a barrier of entry. So it's good to hear that you've got lots of training tools and customer support for that.
Absolutely. So you can go to our VR Classroom website, which is www.lenovo.com/VR Classroom for more information.
Okay. Sandra Clark from Lenovo. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. Well, Christmas is almost here, so how awesome would it be to have Santa himself deliver a personalized video greeting to your kids? It's possible with Portable North Pole, or PNP for short. After mom or dad types in some info about the kids, it takes as little as a few seconds to receive the video, which is powered by AWS, or Amazon Web Services, in the background. Joining us on the line to chat all about it is Alexandre Berard. He is the president, founder, and chief elf officer at U Group Media, and he's a PNP designer. Welcome to the show, Alexandre.
Thank you, Mark, for having me.
And a happy holidays to you.
Same for you and all your fans.
Thank you. Speaking of the holidays, please explain to us what is Portable North Pole, or PNP for short.
So PNP Portable North Pole, actually, it's like Santa Claus as a new devices at Santa's Village, and that's the way he's able to communicate with all the child across the globe. So actually, it's a platform, a web or a mobile app that you can use that you can create personalized video messages for kids.
Okay, so is it that the kids create a video message for Santa, or the other way around? Santa is creating messages for the kids through this PNP platform?
Actually, we need the little help of the parents. So it's the parents who goes online on the website or the mobile apps and fill in all the information, such as what's the name of the kids, where he lives, how old he is, which gift he's looking for. He's been naughty or he's been nice, he's been in the middle. Fill in all this information, and that create live a personalized video message from Santa.
Oh, wow. So it really is Santa Claus who's saying this message personalized for the kids. It's not like a cartoon or artificial intelligence. It's really Santa delivering this message over video.
Oh, actually, yeah, it's the big man in red. Wow. from his village in the North Pole, definitely.
That's awesome. Okay, so obviously there's some tech powering these video streams sent by Santa to millions of kids. Tell us about Amazon Web Services, or AWS.
Yeah, exactly. Because as you can imagine, the service is pretty popular close to Christmas, and there is millions of kids across the globe. And by the way, the service is available in English, in French, Spanish, and Italian. Oh, great. So again, millions of little kids interested in the service and get their message from Santa. So a lot of traffic, a lot of a spike in a very short period of time. So AWS is Amazon Web Services system is definitely the service that powered Santa system.
Okay, if you didn't have this technology powering the video streams, because I don't think PNP always used AWS, it may be difficult for Santa to get his message across to all the kids, right? Like you only switched to AWS a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, because the service has been out since 2008, so it's been working for a long time. But when the first time the service launched in 2008, was a classic server in a closet, small system, classic setup, and it didn't take long that the system crashed because it was way too much traffic, and we were not able to sustain the capacity. Then we learned, and then with the engineer elves, we decided to go with a cluster and something more traditional back in 2009, have something more robust and as it's supposed to be back in 2009. But again, same thing. Too much traffic, too much kids and parents wanted to interact with the platform, so the system crashed. And then we said we had enough, and then we learned about AWS. It was pretty new. So we can say early adopters of AWS system, and we switched everything, 100% of our service on Amazon in 2010. And since 2010, I'm sleeping at night, and everybody sleeping well at night is working perfectly because the system grows as a classic cloud system like Amazon.
Right. Yeah, I know it's scalable. We're chatting with Alexandre Berard. He is the president, founder, and CEO, which is Chief Elf Officer at U Group Media, and he is a designer on PNP, Portable North Pole. We're chatting about the platform that's powering these video streams. So speaking of which, Alexandre, how many personalized videos are created on Christmas Eve?
So on Christmas Eve is very busy. It's the busiest days of the year. So we're close to 1 million personalized video have been created in a couple of hours on Christmas Eve.
And this PNP app or website, it's completely free for parents to use, or is there a small fee attached to it?
Good question. So we do have very amazing and great free personalized message scenarios that are good for kids, but also for grown-ups. So we don't forget the grown-ups. So we have scenarios for them too that you can share your Christmas wishes through Santa messages. But we also also have the premium option that have much more personalization, like I mentioned earlier, about up to 20 different personalization, more pictures in it. So, and the pricing goes from $6.99 to $14.99. The good news with this is that we partners since 2012 with up to 50 children hospitals across the world, and we give back 5% of the online transaction to this children hospital program that we have.
And can the kids or the parents share the video on social media that they receive, that personalized video greeting from Santa?
That's a good question, and definitely need to do on Facebook or Instagram or by email. People do share. There's an easy functionality. If you want to, you can share your video and share the magic, like we say.
Okay, awesome. For those small businesses out there, as we wrap up, Alexandre, what else should we know about AWS, and how do we learn more?
Yeah, exactly. And I think AWS been pioneer, of course, definitely on the cloud side, and very good to help entrepreneurs and startup to grow their business. So they do offer a free trial on AWS cloud system that you can set up. So you just go on aws.amazon.com/Canada, and you can get there to get started and test your app. And then from your business, maybe small, but then the goal is to grow the business. Amazon definitely has a solution for you to start small but get bigger.
All right, Alexandre Berard, Chief Elf Officer for U Group Media. Thanks so much for your time. Let's wrap up on the best website to go to for Portable North Pole, as well as where to find the app for mobile devices.
So it's pretty simple. You type portablenorthpole.com for the website. If you prefer to use your mobile app, not a problem. So App Store and Google Play, same name. Just search for Portable North Pole. You download the free mobile app, and you can access the free personalized message inside of it. Or if you prefer to go with the premium version, that will also give away 5% back for the hospital, is also a great option.
All right, Alexandre. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for your time. All the best.
Thank you so much, Mark.
We'll be right back with more Tech It Out, powered by ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. That's asus.com. We'll be right back.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. Parents, of course, want to protect their kids, but it can be an overwhelming endeavor, especially in the digital age. And so I wanted to invite onto the show Muna Sidahida from Microsoft Family on how to navigate family technology and instill some smart rules in the home that are fair for all parties. Welcome to the show, Muna.
Thank you, Mark, for having me.
Pleasure, and happy holidays to you. Hey, let's kickstart the discussion with a bit about Microsoft Family. Please tell us what this division within Microsoft is all about.
Microsoft Family, we basically are a team that wants to empower families to learn and explore and develop healthy habits around technology. So our goal is to foster that relationship between parents and kids and enable them to have a dialogue, and we build transparency in our products in order to facilitate that dialogue. So technology can hopefully fade in the background, and they're all empowered to go and pursue their learning or creativity or whatever is important to them.
Got it. Okay. So like anything, tech can be used or abused. And so we want to encourage healthy use of things like consumer electronics, computers, Xbox video game consoles, right? And I guess it all starts with parental sort of role modeling. So if mom and dad are on their smartphones all day and on their tablets and laptops, I guess that the kids are only going to learn from them, right?
Absolutely. And obviously every family is different, but we do encourage that healthy balance. And from our perspective, we want to help build tools that create that balance, or at least facilitate that conversation. So in our home, for instance, we use screen time. It's a schedule that we agreed to with our kids. We sat down and asked what they thought were reasonable goals for weekday screen time and versus weekend, and put it together in the tool, and it just became something that everybody's bought in on, and we just use that as the right guardrails. But to your point about modeling habits, we've also had a pretty strict rule about no smartphones, no devices during meal times, and perhaps the only exception to that is if the Seahawks game is on, which we just played Monday Night Football, and we all unanimously agreed we're going to break the rule on Monday. But other than that, we stick to it pretty strictly.
Yeah, I like that. It's all about moderation. And in our house, we have 3 kids, all of whom are teenagers, and we have the same agreement where they have to have the phones put down before we go to have a meal. That they cannot bring their phones to the table. And similarly, when it's bedtime, they're allowed to, unwind for a couple of moments. And I know that, ironically, they could be more stimulated by playing on their phones or laptops before they go to sleep. But so far, it's pretty good. And then I tell them to turn it off and put it on airplane mode, too, just in case. Even though there has not been any proof of any long-term issues with Wi-Fi or cellular connectivity, I just, if it's going to be on their night table or something like that, I just would rather err on the side of caution and have them put it on airplane mode. Not to mention they won't be stimulated by hearing like a buzz or a chime or something when they're trying to close their eyes, thinking, and then they have FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. So even if there are no health concerns, still I don't want them to be curious about who just instant messaged me, right? So I think these are all good tips. And then similarly, Muna, I know with Xbox there are a lot of built-in parental controls that let you manage screen time even when you're not there, right?
Correct. And that's one of the most useful tools for us as parents, and we encourage that balance around that. So first it starts with, like I said, that dialogue of agreeing with the kids on what we believe is a reasonable screen time. Our tools are pretty flexible and customizable, so we allow schedules to be set about when screen time can start. So, for instance, in our house, it's not okay to wake up at 5 a.m. and go play on the Xbox. So we can set a particular schedule as well as the allowance. And then we make the allowance something that can be set on the PC versus the Xbox or have it be combined. We provide the tools where we generally have a different screen time schedule for weeknights versus weekends. And so those flexible tools just foster creating those healthy habits around the use of technology, and the transparency is critical and really important in this case so that we can have a conversation. In addition to setting up a schedule and some limits, we also allow kids to ask for exceptions. And so depending on how well they've been doing at completing their homework on time or finishing their chores, we'll look at the exception request and decide if we want to grant it or decline and have that conversation for why they're not getting extra time.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a reward system, right? If they do well at school or if they put in some extra time doing homework or they help out more around the house, then you might award them another 30 or 45 minutes of screen time, right? That kind of thing?
That's right. It's all about balance. And like if they're watching the Seahawks with us on Monday, then we'll be more flexible on time.
I like that. We'll continue chatting with Muna after this short break. I did want to take a moment to ask if you've got any feedback on the show as we're starting to wrap up 2018. If there's anything that you would like to hear going into 2019, some products you want me to review, some people you'd like me to interview, some things you like or don't like about the program, I'm all ears. I want to constantly improve the show, make it a fun podcast for you to share with your friends, your family, your colleagues, which you can do, of course, on your favorite podcast platform. So let me hear it. I'm at marksaltzman.com. That's MarkSaltzman.com. And you can send me an email there. All right, we'll be right back with more Microsoft. Stay with us.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Check It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Microsoft's Muna Sidihida. She is the Principal Program Manager Lead for the Product and Strategy Division of Microsoft Family. What about when the kids say, hey, I'm using my laptop for homework, I'm not watching Netflix, so can't you give me more time? Like, is there any tools or any advice you can suggest on how parents can manage what they're doing on those devices?
Absolutely. There are a few. I think the screen time schedule itself is very flexible and allows us to set different schedules depending on the device. So, for instance, on the PC, which in our household, the kids use it for homework as well, we'll be a little bit more generous, and we'll talk about what we think is the right balance between, okay, here's how long you're going to need for homework, and then these are the other things that they want to do. They want to be able to Skype with cousins. So we'll agree on that, and then if they need more time, they'll just ask, and we have the tools in place to extend remotely. So we'll get the request, and then I can give them extra 30 minutes or an hour, depending on how much time they need. And so the same thing can apply to other types of activities, entertainment or gaming, with perhaps a different take on what the reasonable goal is for that area. And ultimately, it's really about each family, their needs, the age of the kids factors in as well. But the tools in place are meant to create that level of flexibility and adapt just as needed.
So you were saying, Muna, about kids of different ages. That's a good point. So what about those who are older and maybe using technology out of the house? How do you manage screen time and other related issues when they're not under your same roof?
Great question. The good thing about the tools that Microsoft provides is that all these settings and features roam with the child account. So wherever they go and sign in with their account, it will continue to apply. Whether it's limits or content filtering of any inappropriate content. In addition to that, I think one of my own experiences here and story is having that monitoring in place and that open conversation with kids often gives them an out in situations where they really don't want to participate and need an excuse, so they get to blame mom or parents and say, you know what, I really can't do this because my parents get to see my activity. And we found that to be a very useful tool from that perspective as well.
Interesting. Hey, as we wrap up, Muna, we've been talking a lot about the time spent on devices, when and for how long, but what about content itself? Like, what conversations could parents have with their kids about the mature, like watching a movie or playing a game that's too mature, for example? We personally in our household, we use Common Sense Media a lot. I think it's a way for us to engage our kids in assessing themselves what's appropriate and what's not, and feel that that's a core element of our approach at Microsoft as well, of wanting to create a dialogue and enable them to make those good choices on their own. Obviously, they're kids and they need guardrails, so we give parents tools to restrict certain content. So all mature content obviously goes away. We also enable content to be downloaded in the store based on certain age limit and ratings. But along with that, kids can still request exceptions, and we can look at it as parents and decide whether we're okay with that movie or we're comfortable letting them play a certain game because we've played it and we're familiar with what it is, and we think they're okay. Speaking of websites like Common Sense Media, what website, as we wrap up, would you recommend for parents listening right now who feel overwhelmed and intimidated?
I highly recommend going to Microsoft.com/families. We provide a large set of information for everything that we offer across PC, Windows, what we offer on Xbox, as well as the features that roam to the kids' Android phone, which in our case we do use. So there's a very healthy, mature set of features that could be very useful to parents, and we generally try to make it so that you set it and forget it, and it just enables keeping an eye and having the conversation as needed.
Okay. Microsoft's Muna Siddiquita, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. I've enjoyed our chat, and I'm wishing you a happy and healthy New Year.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here, and Happy New Year as well.
Well, that pretty much wraps up this week's Tech It Out show. A big thank you to ASUS, the sponsor for this program. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. Visit asus.com for more info. That's ASUS.com. I can't wait to see the company at the upcoming Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in early January. I'm wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy holiday break. We'll speak with you next weekend on Tech It Out, heard on the Radio America Network. Bye-bye for now.